Well, here comes Vinokourov. He's made the city of Nantes, as far as we know, without falling off. He's sprinting for his third place finish. 58.04 is what he doesn't want, and he's well in. 56.01. He gets his third place confirmed with 1 day to go.
Great ride by Vinokourov. He will be third tomorrow on the Champs-Élysées, as the battle continues now between the last two men to come onto the finishing straight inside of 1,000 meters for Jan Ullrich. And this has been an incredible battle. At the moment, the overall classification, if we stop the race right now, would be Armstrong, Ullrich, Vinokourov, Hamilton and Zubeldia, but these two men still have to finish.
You know, when Greg LeMond won the Tour de France in '86, Andy Hampson got the fourth place.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing how history repeats itself on so many occasions. Armstrong is not taking any risks at all right now. He's listened to the warnings of his teammates who started earlier on in the day.
Well, there's no doubt that Jan Ullrich will be a very, very disappointed rider at the finish, because he hasn't closed the gap. In fact, when we may find out very shortly, the opposite has in fact happened. He did seem to be getting into his rhythm. He did seem to be pulling away very slightly from Armstrong. Not enough to win the Tour de France, but maybe to have won the day. But he hasn't recovered from that rather nasty fall and slide. He's coming now towards the finishing line. There's a big applause already started in the home straight. You can see the crowd for yourself. Well, one thing's for sure, Jan is back, and he'll be here to fight another Tour de France in the future years. Only third on the line though, 54.30. He never recovered from the crash.
Well, you know what, we've kind of forgotten about the man who's leading the race at the moment, David Millar, because everybody else seems to have slowed down dramatically over the final few kilometers, and David Millar looks set right now to get himself the stage victory, because I think Armstrong is just going to cruise over the last few meters.
Well, Ullrich even slowed down and fell behind Tyler Hamilton there.
His skin suit ripped open as well.
Yeah, well, I'm not surprised that he burned off his back as he skidded across the road. We saw the sparks off the back end of his bicycle. Now one man left out on course. His time everybody wants to see. We all feel it must be good enough to confirm him now as the winner of the Tour de France tomorrow when we go to Paris. And boy, are there some celebrations for the Tour de France tomorrow on the famous Champs-Élysées.
No, he didn't want to take any risks at all, but he is actually a much better bike handler on situations like this than Jan Ullrich. In the past, we've seen him go downhill very fast on stages of the Tour. But look at him picking his way precariously around these corners. These white bands that you can see here right now are unbelievably lethal on weather conditions like this. Armstrong again accelerating out of the saddle. He knows the time to beat is that of David Millar of Great Britain, 54 minutes and 5 seconds. But that's not important for him. What's important is the time of Jan Ullrich, which is 54 minutes and 30 seconds.
That's what he's aiming at. He started the day with that advantage of 1 minute and 5 seconds. 1 kilometre to go. Should take him about 1 minute and 5 seconds right now, at the way he's riding the final kilometre of this race. Through that little bit of flood water there, the USA flag flying off his left shoulder, indicating the tail to crosswind that's blown for much of the day. It was tail for most of it. We swung round a little bit now towards Nantes. It's become a crosswind. Lance Armstrong, who looked very shaky in the early days of this year's Tour de France, is now sure of making it 5 in a row tomorrow in Paris. It has been exactly what he hoped it would be. In his own words, he can walk in the hotel tonight, he can look his team straight in the eye, because tomorrow he will go to Paris in yellow. And David Millar, by the way, will be only the 24th British rider to win a stage of the Tour de France. But this is the man that this Tour now is confirming in the 100th year. And even in this last 500 metres, he is taking absolutely no chances, even freewheeling on the slightest of bends to make sure he doesn't slide. Goodness knows how many riders fell off today, including Jan Ullrich, but Armstrong comes home. It looks like a third place finish, and he knows it's nothing. He's won the Tour de France with 54.19.66.
Rarely do you see Armstrong show that kind of emotion, Phil, at the end of a time trial. He looked up at the clock, he knew the time that Jan Ullrich had come in, but watch this once more, the concentration and the power on this man's face. Look at the smile appearing. He's looking up at the finishing clock, which every rider can see as they come into the finish line. The joy is there, and the moment that he comes up to the line, rarely do you see him just show this kind of emotion. That's for him, and that's for the team.
Yes, indeed. Just look at those eyes.
All right, let's have a look at the stage result. David Millar first, 9 seconds ahead of Tyler Hamilton. Thank goodness he didn't go down on his broken collarbone. Armstrong third, another 5 seconds back. And Ullrich, who had been fastest at the time check before he crashed, 11 seconds behind Armstrong in fourth. Alexander Vinokourov's 16th place was enough to hold on to third overall, but both Aymar Zubeldia and Iban Mayo conceded the best part of 2 minutes to Tyler Hamilton. Well, David's win doesn't do much to his position overall, but it confirms him as one of the big talents in the free agent market at the end of the season, and he'll have teams queuing up for him. The big story in the general classification, of course, is at the top, where Lance Armstrong is confirmed as the unassailable leader of this race now, with just the final stage in Paris to come.